The bits are flowing. I turned the mic gain down a little bit or up. Noticed it was a little hot in the last couple streams. Alright, popping up on YouTube. Noticed it was a little hot in the last couple streams. Alright. So, update number 3. Just did update number 2. And mentioned that, yeah, I can't be as available in this space as I had hoped because it's so dusty. Nothing's changed there. I said that I can't afford to go to the cafe every day. Nothing's changed there. I'll still go on Saturday and Sunday because I need to be out of the house those days. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. I might still do a daily stream, but coding can't really happen during the week until like Thursday at the earliest, where I can go to the library at 9. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it opens at noon. And there's one thing that can change it, and that's if you give me some money. Like, oh, you're here to beg for money. I knew it. Yeah, I would like all 3 of you who watch to get on my Patreon for $500 a month so I can meet my $1,500 a month goal. Or you could tell your friends, and all of you, say 300 of you, get on for $5 a month. And yeah, there's fees, so technically it's got to be maybe like $350 for $5 a month to hit the $1,500 poverty line. But yeah, I need to know how I can deliver value better. And yeah, people coming and trolling my stream and talking about what a piece of crap I am doesn't help me. In fact, if I knew who they were and I had time and money to pursue them for defamation, maybe I would. But yeah, so we're on Hogumathi. The Twitter and now Mastodon app. And it's a Twitter API and archive. So, yeah, let's just go into the day's progress quick. So yesterday I showed what was launched, so I won't launch that today. It seems to screw up the local dev login when I do that. So mostly unseen changes today. So I think I showed the add and remove bookmark yesterday. I showed this collection yesterday, but now I've gone ahead and made it so that it can read from disk as well. So it'll go into data/swipeall.json, and I searched for Twitter URL inside of my notes, and I just pulled out every single one, and there's 100 at a time here, and now you see it automatically loads where it didn't yesterday. It's always done that on the timeline and a couple other pages, but I slept on it a little bit because I had it set up across 2 different routes, which was very annoying to me because I basically had to copy and paste the whole route handler between them. So first, let me just show you how this works. So this is all without JavaScript. It's using something called HTMX. And let's see, it's a little cut off. So when you reveal this element far down in the list, basically when it first becomes visible, it gets triggered. It swaps the outer HTML of itself with data from this URL, which used to be data Twitter timeline with the same arguments. Next token comes off the Twitter API. So whatever response it gets back, it's going to pull off, it's going to select the UL tweets LI and replace this LI with all the LIs in that response. So let's just go to the network tab, make sure that we're watching for that. So I'll refresh this whole page first so you can see the response. So here it's just a regular HTML page, head, body, etc. And once we get deep down into there, we'll see that there's UL ID equals tweets, LI class equals tweet. And yeah, stuff is a little bit spaced out, but in general /li class equals tweet. So that's how that's working. And then we'll go to the bottom of the list of requests. So it's going to request a bunch more avatar icons, I think. No, it looks like it fetched them all. Alright, so now we fetched latest.html again, but now it doesn't fetch the whole page. Why is that? Well, in the request, we actually send hx request true. And so this route, when it's an hx request true, it only returns the list of tweets. And so then we pull that selector ul tweet.tweet and replace the element that says loading more tweets with that. Pretty clever, eh? So this is the kind of thing we used to have to code up by hand in jQuery. But now HTMX just makes a little pattern for it that goes on top of all the elements with attributes. And you don't have to write any JavaScript. So it is JavaScript, but you don't have to write JavaScript. And there is a fancy way, something called Boost, where you can write it as normal code. And it will it'll progressively enhance. Like right now, I could actually copy that URL, copy link address, and I can just go straight to this page. And since it's not hx request, it loads the whole page. So that's pretty cool. Now, on the inside, yeah, once again, I hope there's no key matter or anything in here. I think the Twitter one is pretty clean. So yeah, here's the collection logic, which is a little bit different. Just in where it sources the tweets, but then it still pulls the tweets for the IDs. And then, so this logic structure is a little bit different than the other pages because it's the newest. But we go, so first this is just, development stuff. I'll probably just remove that. But so we start off with an empty query. We say if there's a pagination token, then the next data URL is equal to get collection HTML, which is where we are. And so I used to have two routes. I would have had, in the case of bookmarks, like get bookmarks HTML and get bookmarks data. So that's why there's next data URL. And then also, if it's not an HX request and there's a pagination token, then we have a next page URL. And so that ends up being, so next page URL. So if we don't have a next data URL, which I know this logic's a little janky, effectively now, since everything has a next data URL, that wasn't always the case. This never gets shown. But yeah, all it is a link to that same URL. So I can clean up this logic a little bit. And Yeah, so if it's an HX request, then we only give that one partial, which has just this list of tweets. And then if it is a tweet collection, then we just include that page. So, pretty nice. It's, similar to what we would have done in the PHP days. And so it feels like real quaint and backwards, but also having been through the whole like single page application thing, like I see that it's actually very nice. And finding the facade pattern as well, which uses the server as an engine of state, but then we actually have a this is just a thin layer that basically just jockeys data up to the backend services, which in our case are Twitter and Mastodon as opposed to our own, except for the archive facade. And then in this case, we do have an archive tweet source. Might be actually at the top. Yeah, archive tweet source, which does have its own little database. So when we go to this, we are actually hitting a database just within our process as opposed to a microservice. And then here, we've gone through Twitter's login process and used their database. Make a call to their API. And the exact same thing with Mastodon. And so yesterday we didn't have bookmarks, so I went ahead and implemented bookmarks. And here you can see I didn't quite do the logic properly, so it's going to keep on repeating the same too. And why is that? Is it because the pagination token? So max ID is that. So yeah, we'll have to fix that. But same thing with public timeline. Oh, I think I actually know what the bug is going to be. Let's just try it out real quick. That was bookmarks. So I think what it's going to be doing, so max ID. So we do put that in there. Max ID is okay. So it's something. So I was thinking that maybe the max ID wasn't being passed. So the next thing I might guess is that maybe this list would need to be reversed, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So not gonna pause and fix that while we're on the stream. Oh, you're just a faker. You probably have a ghostwriter. Do this, blah, blah, blah. So, veg, and then it was ill post. John Shirley. So it does work on the timeline view. Not 100% sure what the deal is with the bookmarks. Dark mode still works, and I changed the link colors. Oh, and then, so I did implement, obviously, bookmarking since it works on Mastodon now, and I almost completely forgot about that. So bookmark, and then on this one we don't have the toast yet like we do on Twitter. So that's Topcax, Google S Experto, Topcax, Google X Experto, minus. That puts out the stuff as well. So, yeah, it doesn't seem like a big change, but it was mostly, thinking about the pattern that I use to implement stuff and making the update to a better pattern. Oh, you know what else I did too? There's not even a UI for it. I've actually not made a post on Mastodon yet, but I did also implement the post tweets create. So different URL. It's the route name that matters. So this is bad practice. I actually implemented, what should be an API like I did for Twitter with tweet source. I just implemented it straight in the route handler, which is bad practice. But I just want to get stuff working, and then I'll extract it out, like we did with the tweet source. So here we've got to create tweets. And I showed the test yesterday where it literally just returns the result. So, it's like seriously rapid development. And without tests you start, I know the pros and cons of not using tests. I know where I can trip over my feet from not using them, etc. So I hate having myself covered almost as much as I hate going back and watching the stream. Although I've been doing it more lately, and I don't think I do too bad. So, implemented the profile code. I think I did that yesterday. Do I make a change? I think I just made it so it scrolls today. So public timeline, go on to some random account. So the top one is being the first as a da-da-da-da, scroll to the end, RT by a different person. So yeah, and I did not implement this page yet. And I know I still use the word tweet all over the Mastodon. It's just because that's how the templates are wired up. So all the same templates are shared, and so it's like get tweet HTML if false, and tweet dot replied tweet. So I obviously disabled that feature. I added public metrics to Mastodon as well. So there's no quote tweet, infamously, and almost everything is on 0. I guess this is just that one account. So for other people, there's some RTs and likes. As far as what's next, you might have got a hint out of the open files. And I guess I'm not going to open it now, but if you see a surprise in there, you can guess. So, yeah, I mean, basically, it was just finally tackling the data routes. So all the data routes that had duplicate logic for pagination are now eliminated. Here's one case where we have, so yeah, that's actually gonna break. So I'm eating my words, fun times. So I'll have to go through effectively, I think it would just be changing them all here, because I think those routes were extremely annoying because I had to mirror this logic and propagate all of the, basically just mirror the logic into there. So let's try it as it is now. So there should be 2 tweets here, 1 reply here. So that's gonna only kick in where there's pagination, so I can see how I could have missed it. So I'd have to find a longer thread. So here's a longer thread. Still not enough for a page. So that's where these are going to hit. So I'll have to make sure to QA this. But since those data routes were just trying to mirror these parameters, it's probably less likely to have an error. I mean, you never know till you test, right? But, so yeah, I've eaten my words there. So yeah, and then, you know, this isn't the only thing I do all day, but this is just what I want to show off on this stream. So I would definitely like to do it a lot more and focus on it. Like, it's probably going to get the most attention on the weekends because Saturday and Sunday are when I've budgeted for being able to go somewhere and code. Like, again, I can't code here. You know, I could just suck it up and deal with the dust, but politically I can't code here. So I need to code out of this house, and where I can do that are coffee shops and the library. And, you know, $5 a day is all it takes. So if you want to fund my week, you know, I'm not saying I can't eat, but $25 a week takes away from, you know, that's like a whole trip to the grocery store. So if I'm just going and getting coffee and renting the space for something that doesn't pay any bills, you know, people should invest 10% of their income, but my income is $0, and so everything that I invest in this is out of savings. And yeah, I have to leave the house for my own sanity on the weekends, so it's like, no matter what, I would be leaving the house anyway, so. And coding is my escape, so I do enjoy doing it. It's just like adding $25 for Monday to Friday to do it. You know, I have been paying that for a long time. So I've got a ton of ideas for this app, and I was, you know, I've been working on at least half of it, the Twitter archive part, for like, I've been using it for like the better part of a year to just run various reports on my Twitter archives and iterating on it and learning how to use Python. Like, all these projects have been learning Python. So yeah, I mean, that's my begging, but I'm still trying to offer like something of value. And if you do that, then you'll get, I think I could do like a weekly release schedule, so you'll be a week ahead if you do that. And you'll also get discounts to the different apps that I have in Gumroad. Like, you might get 100% off, you might get codes for your friends to get 40% off, stuff like that. You know, since it's software, it's zero marginal cost. But yeah, another open source contributor said it best. He said, you know, as long as he's fully funded, like, he's thought about different benefits for sponsors, but every single benefit takes more work. And that's where I'm at with, you know, like, I've literally come to that conclusion. I just didn't state it as clearly. But the only benefit I can think of that isn't a ton more work is if I do a release every week, since I'm not using GitHub and just pushing all the time, is I can make one release onto Patreon, which is the new stuff, and then I can take the stuff I released onto Patreon the week before and put it onto Glitch. And so Glitch will be 1 or 2 or however, maybe not necessarily weekly cadence, but, you know, whatever it is, week, 2 weeks, you know, maybe I can drop something every week. Like, I was thinking I've got enough proofs of concepts and prototypes and things like that. Like, I've got stuff that maybe I've referred to but never showed a screenshot of. I've got stuff that I've never even talked about, like, deliberately. Like, I've got so much stuff behind the scenes that I would love to get out there, but if I'm struggling for $25 a week for space, you know, it's just not cool. And I do owe it to everybody who has helped me out over the last few years to send them some stuff. But, like, again, it's like getting the email together. I've already, like, made them coupon codes for some of my Gumroad stuff, but getting all the emails together stops me from pushing ahead. And I know I want to give them value, and I owe it to them. But at the same time, like, since May, I've been building up a marketable skill, which is Python. And, you know, some might say that Clojure is a marketable skill, and Clojure is awesome, and I'm so lucky I've been paid to work Clojure. I've given presentations on Clojure, like one big presentation on Clojure publicly. I've gone to Clojure meetup groups for like 2 years. Like, heck yeah. And definitely Babashka. That's actually the Michael Borkin, the maintainer of Babashka, and numerous other Clojure projects is who I'm referring to. He's like, yeah, if I'm fully funded, like, it just makes sense to give everything away for free open source. So, and I mean, I think that's the way I want to do it, but I'm just like trying to figure out incentives that I can give to people. And like the best one I can think of is early access, because if I'm making a release on some cadence anyway, then it's no more work to do early access for one group of people. In theory, I mean, if they're like feature sets ahead and whatnot, then it's kind of a problem. So maybe, you know, I mean, thankfully we're not trying to make a scalable service. We're making self-hosted stuff. So, you know, it's not going to be like two different client versions trying to talk to the same database, expecting different schemas. Although that's actually exactly what the facade layer handles. Like, it actually, you can change the code of the facade without changing the client. That's one of the reasons it's so beautiful, using the facade layer as an engine of state. So yeah. That wraps up the weekend in code. Like, I need to get better. Like, there's other activities to running an operation than just coding, right? And so I think I've gotten to the place in Python where if someone wanted to hire me for a gig, as long as I don't see any conflict of interest, like, you know, that's the big thing, is I need to protect my intellectual property, and I don't want to, you know, even have the appearance of impropriety as far as like competition and whatnot goes. So, you know, I'm really apprehensive about actually taking a coding job or taking a job for a tech company who is, you know, like that whole wants to take over the world thing. Like, I'll listen to that and I'll believe them when they say it, which means that anything you do is competing with them because they want world domination, and you're trying to, like, I'm trying to be a person who enables sovereignty and stuff. So that is a conflict of interest with world domination. So, yeah, like any tech company that says world domination, even as a joke, I'll believe them. And I don't want to work with world domination. I never have, but I have always taken it as a joke. But maybe I should have taken it more seriously. So yeah, I was thinking I would like draw, so we've got, I was gonna just draw how that project is laid out. So we've got Twitter app, which is, Hogumathi. It's just, I know this is a trademark name, so I shouldn't be calling it that. So we'll update the copy as time goes on. And then we've got archive, we've got API, and then we've got Mastodon. So these are 3 different modules within the same project. And then API has OAuth. All right. So there's a pretty good chance the audio is messed up now. So I was just drawing a little diagram. So I factored out OAuth into its own thing. And then this has OAuth within it. So it's a little bit different than this. We'll see if we can extract it into a shared module. But then you see on so here there's one Twitter server, so we have one user ID. Here we actually have the instance ID. So we can be connected to any number of instances. And yeah, technically we can be connected to any number of Twitter accounts as well. So yeah, and then this is connected to a zip file that Twitter provides, and it's got a SQLite database. So hopefully you can hear me, but if not, at least I'm drawing something. So, then as far as as the UI goes, we've got the profile. And you've seen these two have the concept of a profile. We've got the timeline. And all 3 of these have the concept of a timeline. And we've got the concept of bookmarks. So these 2 have it. I don't know if archive does or not. We've got this collections thing, which is special. And the Twitter v1 API has this. So this is v2. So there's a v1.1 API that does have that. And then as far as actions go, we've got tweet. And these can have replies. We've got retweet. So these 2 both have those actions. And obviously the archive doesn't have any of those sorts of actions. So tweet, bookmarks. So I mean, we can bookmark We do have DMs, and I have not implemented that yet because I've been totally ignoring DMs for various reasons. But that's something we could implement because I know DMs are popular. In theory, we have likes, and I think I've implemented the code in Twitter, but I don't have any way to view it, and Mastodon has the same thing. So then we've got like. So you can almost read that if you zoom in. So yeah, this is what the project is like so far. You can find it on Glitch. And it's actually hogumathi.glitch.me. And that'll take you to the Twitter login page, or it's glitch.com/Hogumathi. If you go to Glitch and you type in that name, you'll find it. And yes, $25. Sponsor my week in development. Patreon. You know? I hate this part of the project because, you know, I started doing all this stuff when I was in high school and I didn't have to worry about it. You know, my parents didn't provide much, but there was shelter and food, you know, crap, you know, liver, whatever food, you know, fried liver. Ugh. Yeah. I liked it when I was young, but then, you know, conceptually it's really gross. So anyway, yeah. Not trying to complain, just saying, like, in high school I got used to coding for free. And the thing is, it is better to give than to receive. So that's like a huge reason why I hate putting up any kind of barrier to my work as well. But at the same time, every drop of my work is an investment that takes away from food. So, like, it hasn't quite been in my awareness for a long time, but biblically, you are supposed to work with what you have as opposed to trying to save. But I think there's still room because it doesn't say, oh, you can't have a storehouse. It just says, you know, when your storehouse is full, don't tear it down and build a bigger one. Like, I take that to mean you can have like a year of savings. And I haven't even been at a year of savings in years, you know, so. Or 6 months of savings. Yeah, most people will be on the street after 2 paychecks. I've got like 0 expenses except for basically what pandemic has cost me. And then my student loans, so yeah. We'll see. You know, I didn't work on this all week until yesterday and today. And so to put it down for 5 more days is a terrible thought. So consider giving, and I'll keep giving. So thanks for joining. And yeah, I like these tech streams more than the streams about domestic abuse and defamation and all this crap. It's so distracting. But at the same time, I need to feed myself, and you guys aren't giving money, and you know, I'm not above working any kind of labor job or anything. It's like, you know, go to a previous stream, I've talked more about that. I'd much rather, you know, do this stuff and give it all away. So thanks for joining. See you next time.